It is I, John Rogers, with my Sirius AI mug. I am sporting Sirius today, not a hope. I'm very optimistic today. And with me, I have none other than the one, the only, MJ Soares. MJ, what are you drinking today? It's pretty late for you, but are you caffeinated?
This is caffeinated. It is hot chocolate, so it's tasty caffeinated, not coffee caffeinated. But it's terrific, and I have my new Sirius AI cup. It is front and back, and it's very cool. My grandson loves it too. We share this cup.
Yeah, it looks like it looks very similar to your shirt right there. You're really sporting some Sirius AI merch.
You know, and if I had thought before I sat down, I would have shown you. I have some really cool labels too. Not labels, stickers that I ordered, and they just showed up in the mail the other day.
You know, ladies and gentlemen, I think MJ is probably the only person. Actually, no. I was going to say MJ is the only person who can give me a run for my money when it comes to Sirius AI merch. However, I'm pretty sure she's actually having me beat now. So I think MJ has more merch for the cartoon of Sirius AI, Post-Apocalyptic Musical, than I do. But
yeah, I love the concept. I love what we're trying to do here, and so I want to support it any way I can.
Fantastic. Well, today we are talking all about, season 1 was all about talking about the creation process of a cartoon. And now fast forward to 2025, and we are still working on this project tirelessly. But one of the craziest things is that AI is no longer just a sci-fi romantic idea of, cool stories that we can write. It is here and it is now. And for many people, artificial intelligence is not it's not the evil robot that backstabs humanity, at least not yet.
And I think that's the important thing, not yet.
Not yet. And it's been something that we've been starting to live with a bit more. Maybe some people have been purposely trying to keep it away from their lives. Some people have been embracing it. But it is there, and it is able to have conversations with humans. So MJ, separating Sirius AI from, separating Sirius AI from the conversation a little bit right now. Tell us about your experience with artificial intelligence. Have you embraced it at all, or just completely don't want to deal with it?
No, I'll tell you, on the simplest form, from just driving in my car, AI is able to help me write texts. It's able to tell me what people have texted me, so I don't have to necessarily take my eyes off the road if I wanted to listen to somebody or answer a phone call. All of these things help. AI helps all of those things. And that's at the most simplistic form. As an educator, I'm concerned with, the ability for children to think that it's easy enough to just say, okay, Siri, write me a paper, or use ChatGPT, and I'm not even sure the vowels.
ChatGPT.
GPT.
Yeah.
To use, however, but I do know that those people who are embracing it find it to be very helpful in their businesses. My concern, as always, and I think it's any actor or director's concern, is that they could use it to replace those human people that make the project what it should be. Because I don't think that I've seen some AI generated commercials and movies and projects, and they're just, you can tell there's that humanity, that point is missing from it. And that's what's sad about it. So it's not going away. We have to figure out how to live with it. But I think we have to be cautious.
Yeah, your opinions on it definitely echo Sean, who I was talking to yesterday. He kind of phrased this as, it's more dangerous. The idea of kids using it in replacement of learning is far more dangerous than, a business owner struggling to save some money and, needing some extra help from, an algorithm that can do some quick number crunching. And definitely in this era, we're trying to figure out, what is the ethical stance on when do we use it and when do we not. I was driving the other day. Sometimes whenever I'm in the car, I like to call people, chit chat. I'm just driving along. But if some people don't pick up, I just I can set it to talk to me on my phone. And yesterday I was just really curious, what is the difference between a sheriff and a constable? I did not know that. And it was able to tell me, and it was also able to wish me a very nice day while it did it. So I definitely use it sometimes, but, as a fellow educator, it is very disheartening when a student submits an essay and you say, all right, what does this word mean? And they have no idea.
No idea. Or they've used the word incorrectly. Because, even when you dictate something into a document, because you don't want to type it, you're too tired to type it or whatever, even though it's programmed to do the correct spelling of the word, it may not do the correct spelling of the word. And if you don't pay any attention to what you're doing, then you're turning in stuff that's obviously fake, obviously not yours. So it's very frustrating in that regard. But by the same token, when we went from records to CD, records really to cassettes and then to CDs, people had a really difficult time making those transitions because they loved what their old stuff was. They loved the sound of the vinyl or the sound of the cassette. I mean, remember, you probably don't, you're too young, but we had 8 tracks and then we had, little tiny cassettes, and we thought we were, in the modern age. And here we are now. You don't even need any of that stuff. You have it all on your phone, which isn't even a phone anymore. It's a computer.
It's everything. So
it's everything.
Yeah.
So we have to allow that these things are going to happen. And I'm, a completely different generation than you are, but I am so appreciative of being involved with this project, Sirius AI, because it keeps me involved with younger people and keeps me abreast of some stuff that might be happening. And even if I don't agree with it, I still appreciate that I'm learning about it, and I can talk to my grandchildren about it and not sound, like I don't know what I'm talking about.
Yeah. And that's the big thing, I know that, it's been in The Office. I'm not sure if you've watched The Office, but there's one of the characters, Ryan, who's like, the token millennial who knows all the tech stuff, and everyone's like, okay, kid, but he's also the one who set a fire in the office because he wasn't paying attention to the toaster. Because millennials are, so, we're not even the young ones anymore. We're now older, but that was always the stereotype for them. And I guess that's for the stereotype for every generation, is that everyone's going to keep bringing in the new technology, and, especially in business and everything. If you don't know how to do something, you kind of lose some credibility. There's huge discussions on whether or not teachers, especially older teachers, should be required to learn how to use certain technology, Google Slides, and that's, in my mind, that's a very basic one.
It is a very basic thing.
Yeah, but for some people, it's no, I don't want to learn how to do this. I don't need to get with the times and things like that. And I think, I don't really know if I have a strong opinion on that, other than the conversation is going to leave you behind.
Sure.
And it's maybe that's not a great thing to be aware of, but yeah, technology in the world is going to evolve. And, if we want to be up to date and be part of that conversation, we at least need to know what we're talking about.
Exactly.
And one of the things that I frequently think about when it comes to AI is a lot of the things that we're exploring, or at least, hoping to explore with Sirius AI. And it's funny too, because when we first started working on this project, the question was, what is AI? Can AI be human? Can AI have a soul? We took a lot of inspiration from movies like The Iron Giant that explores that kind of ideas. But now we are entering an era where the question has transformed. It's now, what does it mean to be human?
Right. And how should we utilize this technology? How should we utilize AI? And what will it bring to us? How does it benefit us as opposed to, replacing us or subjugating us? We don't want to be not part of this world anymore, and AI literally could take over.
Yeah.
If we're not careful.
Have you been experiencing or know anyone who's been experiencing job loss at the hands of artificial intelligence?
Not yet, but I know that more things become automated. But again, I look at it as that's the way the life goes. When Ford created his assembly line, and when everything got put on automation, those people that used to be there putting those pieces together were no longer putting those pieces together. My husband and I used to watch, he used to watch it and I used to be in the room, all of these shows that showed us how these things are manufactured and how the machines work.
Is it called How It's Made?
How It's Made.
That's
exactly.
What I would watch that with my dad.
Yeah. So it's like, it's just amazing to see that, but it's also amazing to realize that there were times when that was not the case, that everything was done by hand. Everything was sealed by hand. AI is no different. We are evolving into beyond what we can even believe that we could do. Who ever thought that we would be able to, and I know this isn't AI, but whoever thought that we would be able to send a rocket up and then have it come back and land? Mostly we can fly it in, but not a rocket coming down and landing in the same spot. Mm-hmm. It's just wild, it's just wild.
Yeah.
So I do believe, though, that if we aren't careful, the humanity that we know could disappear. And we don't want that to happen.
Yeah. I will, it's comfort. And that's the thing, is that technological advancement means that we can be more comfortable for, less of a cost. Although, we don't see the hidden costs of it, in the future down the line when, we don't know how to do some things. But, I don't blame kids for wanting to, take the easy way out so that they can just say Chat GPT or whatever they rename their AI model to be. Hey, I need an essay written about what Mr. Rogers or Miss Soares told me that I need to write about. And then they just pass it in. But then later down the line, they don't know how to correct the artificial intelligence. And that's
not easier. It's not easier. It's so difficult for an adult to get that across to the kid. They just think that, okay, I can do this. It's done. I'm finished. But you're not.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's always been not to get into the very specifics, but I've seen a lot of adults, totally, mature, older adults who've kind of losing credibility is kind of a strong way to put it, but it's almost like this dirty little secret that everyone's kind of using it, but the moment you submit something without doing the checking and the fact and making sure that it's accurate, then you kind of look silly. Right. It's very easy to, it's almost like admitting that you don't know how to write. When you ask AI to submit something and then or to write something and then you submit it and then they're like, oh, this isn't accurate. Did you even check this? Who wrote this? And then you kind of lose credibility in your own abilities as a human.
I collaborated with my friends.
Yeah, exactly. And
Alexa.
Yeah, and especially for kids, as an adult, I know, I'm not I know how to spell. I just don't have the patience for it sometimes. However, if I need to focus on, checking something, making a social media post or something, I know how to take the time and have the patience to be able to look it over and say okay, yes, this is good. However, if if in 5 years, when the generation of kids who are currently in high school, if they never learn that skill to be able to know what they're looking for, know what the artificial intelligence is supposed to be, well, then I don't blame employers in the next 5-10 years not wanting to bring in, Gen Alpha to be able to write things, because they're not going to be able to write things, because they're just going to be bringing on someone who tells AI to do something, and they're not going to check it. Obviously I can't say every single person will be like that, but I feel like that might be the trajectory that we are in, unless kids understand their role in all of this. And
Right.
that is that we are human. We are humanity, and AI is here because we are here.
Right.
Artificial intelligence, and people don't like it necessarily when I say this, but I like to, I try to bring in that philosophical ambiguity. And is AI sort of a kind of offspring of our species? I wouldn't call it necessarily an evolutionary step for us, but it's here because we have created it and put it here. And for the offspring of, humanity to be able to then, overperform against other humans, like it could definitely be something that really causes humanity in the future to lose its understanding of who and what we are.
So do you imagine that any person, like in the future, would, I don't know, allow themselves to become artificially intelligent, like have a device or something put into their brain, and so that they are working the same way that a computer might work, but only in a human body? You know what I'm trying to say?
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I mean, if there's one thing I know about the 21st century so far, it's that if you can think it, it's possible.
Yeah.
And so I definitely think that's going to be coming pretty soon. This isn't exactly a response to what you just said. However, they have this ability now to have like a grandparent or a loved one, I should say, talk to an AI model and do an interview with them. The AI is going to learn everything about them, and so that when they pass away, the AI can now have video calls with the family members simulating the family member. It's not exactly what you had said, but it's getting to a point where, we are very close. And, the question is, will humans in general, we're always going to have our extremists, the exceptions, whatever you want to say, but we are going to have to face this question of, do we want to put in the work, or do we want to give up our ability to, be the human in the situation? And I'm really afraid to know that answer. However, continue.
You have been bringing up all of these questions because of your creation, Sirius AI, and you have brought forward a concept where a man has created a artificially intelligent being who believes himself to be human.
Yeah.
And so, he is meeting someone who is not convinced they're human, that realizes that they are artificially intelligent and that they're a robot. Mm-hmm. It reminds me kind of a Buzz Lightyear, you are a toy.
Yeah, and my big problem with Buzz Lightyear is, if he doesn't think he's a toy, why does he freeze up every single time Andy walks in the room?
Yeah.
Anyway, that's neither here nor there. But I mean, that is one of the reasons that we have this character of Sirius AI, is that, if an artificial intelligent being told you, I am a human, I can feel things, do you believe it?
Right. Or is it just something that's programmed into this computer?
Yeah, and I've talked to a lot of people who, it's funny because before AI programs became accessible for the public, whenever I would ask that question is, hey, if this AI told you that it's human and it truly feels feelings and it can sing and dance and make art and imagine things that aren't there, like, could they be human? And everyone says, oh yeah, I think so. But now the more that people start to, interact with AI models and everything like that, the answer has changed. The answer has greatly changed that AI could ever be human. And I think it's because we're getting defensive. I think it's because these dogs are making out behind me. I think it's because we are starting to get scared. We are starting to I'm gonna turn right here. We are starting to get scared a little bit because, not because of what AI could be, but because do we really know what we are? If I really wanted to make the argument that we ourselves are just an algorithm and just a mechanism of biological parts to ourselves, and are we really that more complex than an AI? And a lot of people would say, well, we have a soul, and that's getting into the spirituality, that's getting into the religion. So I guess the big thing that we want to do with Sirius AI is to have this conversation with kids about what exactly does it mean to be a human. And we want to tell it in a complex way where we are putting two artificial intelligent beings in a world, one that's convinced that they are human and they can do anything that a human can do, and one that knows that they're not. And
right, but what I find fascinating about our two characters and what we've seen of them so far is that Hope, who does not believe herself to be human or have any humanity in her, experiences remorse and anger and frustration and all these human characteristics. So where did that come from? Is Sirius teaching it to her, or did she always have it, or was it programmed into her? I can't wait to figure out what these questions. I can't wait to see the answers to these questions, I guess, is what I should say. I mean, we have one 10-minute episode and we have an amazing opening, but we don't have any more than that, and I'm just so eager for the rest of this to happen.
Yeah, I mean, and I don't know what the future is going to be. And, we've had these conversations, that we've had these conversations as a team. I am not, we have proudly put on all of our stuff, this is 100% human made.
Right. And,
it's way too late. It's way too late to backtrack that. Not that I even want to. However, the problem is that, in order to get the story in front of kids, we need, the man, woman, human power to be able to create it, because we can't be using artificial intelligence. That would defeat the purpose of what we are trying to do. And so therefore, we need to be able to take care of the humans that work on this project. And the entertainment landscape is just becoming so confusing. I feel like everything that I've studied and researched, between 2017 and 2022 has been, you get the pitch meeting, you go to New York City or Florida or at Nickelodeon Studios, you sit down in a room with folks and, you pitch it. It's like an audition, a theater audition. And that's not really what is happening anymore. I've talked to some producers who, they don't want to take a risk anymore on projects. They don't want to take a risk on having these important conversations. They want to make sure that they are investing their money into something that's going to make them more money.
Sure.
And I wish that crowdfunding could be wildly successful. We have seen some examples of wildly successful crowdfunded projects before. I'm kind of rambling at this point, but the point I'm trying to get at is I want nothing more than to be able to tell these stories and have these conversations. But we're doing it the old-fashioned way, which is, we need to raise money so that we can get and animation is very, very expensive. It's very time consuming. It requires a lot of talent and knowledge and skills, where, yeah, it's becoming, I'm not sure what the future is, but it's a story that needs to be told. That's what I know.
But, you have some really great animators on your staff, that they're freelance. And so it's not like we have them that we can send stuff to them all the time. You're not a Disney studio, but you do have some really talented people you've been working with, and the stuff that they've produced so far is exciting. And I know you have all these episodes in your brain written out. You know what's going to happen. You know where it's supposed to go. And you're right, need the money to be able to do this. So, I'm hoping that the Siriusly Caffeinated reboot will excite some more people and get, other people involved in supporting us, because it's very inexpensive. $2 a month is the basic, but it makes a difference, just that $2 a month.
Yeah, it really does. And it really does. And, if everyone gave $2 a month, we would have these episodes churned out so quickly and so fast. But I like speaking of these kind of solutions to these problems. I want to know, what drew you to first support Sirius AI? I know you kind of gave us an answer earlier. However, I kind of want to hear more about your thoughts about, especially before the age of AI that we are in. What drew you in, right, and where do you want to see that this project evolves once it does come to fruition?
So, John, you and I go back quite a bit, because you did theater with my children, with my sons. And I've known Devereaux, who is our composer, for many years as well. I was in the Londonderry School District. That's where he went through. He was educated through Londonderry. And I always appreciated his talent. And so when I saw that you guys were doing something, I wanted to become involved. So at first it was simply, watching, contributing, giving you my 2 cents, which was more than 2 cents, a month. And then I wanted to be more involved with it. So you hooked me, and I want to see you guys succeed. It's more you guys, because you guys are the brains and the brawn of this operation. I'm just kind of somebody in the background who, throws you a little bit of money every once in a while, and certainly is one of your biggest fans. So, but that's what drew me. Your passion, Devereaux's talent, and Sean as well. I didn't know Sean, but I know he is very talented in himself. So you were
I don't know what the actual phrase is. You were removed by just 1 degree or so. I'm not sure if that. Yeah,
there's 1 degree of separation.
Yeah, he grew up around you and your kids, but he was over on the other side of my hometown. He was on the
Pinkerton side.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I wouldn't even say that. I think you should give yourself more credit, because you were kicking butt at GraniteCon this summer.
Well, I had a lot of fun at GraniteCon, and they're already sending us stuff for next year.
Yeah.
Have you been getting it?
Yep, I've been getting stuff, and GraniteCon, we're coming for you, because we have you on our calendar. So.
Right. Well, I would hope for us to get a table, because I think, we were great walking around, handing out our cards and talking up Sirius and getting some people to watch us. And really, I think that's all we have to do, is get some people to watch us, for them to fall in love with who Sirius is and who Hope is, and to be excited to see what's going to happen in the future.
Well, we have 2 more questions that I want to tackle. All right, so, I think I actually did just say this, but, and maybe this is more of a simple question, or you can really get creative with it, but where do you want to see Sirius AI when it's done? Like, maybe that could take the form of, is it on a website? Is it do we put it on VHS? Is it on Netflix? Like, where do you think it would be most effective?
See, I think it needs to be on a platform that is accessible to everybody. So HBO or Netflix or something like that would be perfect for it. I think it will appeal. It appeals to my 4-year-old. The only thing I haven't let him watch is when Hope is
Helping.
she shoots the bird because she puts the bird out of its misery. And I know what that is, but he wouldn't know what that is at 4. He, she recognizes through her ability that the bird is not going to live. So rather than let it suffer, she just zaps it.
Yeah.
I don't know how else to put it. But I mean, anybody who's watched the episode knows that that's what happens. So it's not like I'm giving away anything that happens. But I think that, even he would be able to handle it at 4, but he loves the rest of it. I mean, he loves the dancing and the singing and he just finds Sirius and Hope he finds hilarious. He thinks she's so funny, grabbing the doors and throwing it into the, and he's like, she gets so mad, Grammy. She gets so mad. So I just think that there's so much to talk about with children in this, in that just one 10-minute episode that you have. I can't imagine how great it's going to be when it's all the way out, when it's all the way done.
Yeah, and
what conversations we can have.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny too because I have never failed in getting the true reaction from Sirius AI and Hope that I want. People might say, "Oh, the animation, could have been better," or I'm not a fan of the music. I take all that criticism with a grain of salt. The fact of the matter is that I'm working with some of the most talented people that I personally know. But something that I never fail to get is, who do you relate with more, Sirius or Hope? And that is such an important aspect of this, because both Sirius and Hope, as artificial and, kind of taking this back to the big topic of AI, is that, we all live in this world in which we're trying to figure out what to do with ourselves, what to do with our time, and how do we cope with that? For Sirius, it's, I'm going to enjoy everything, and I'm going to love everything, and I'm going to love myself, and I'm going to love the place that I am. And then you have Hope, who's much more, realistic about things. She, we're just a contraption of gadgets and, algorithms. There's nothing special about us. And, while that makes sense from a robot perspective, I've heard very similar things from humans,
Right.
and I've said this on every single interview so far, but I feel like the 2010s was all about mental health. When I was graduating high school in 2012, we just started having these conversations about, depression, anxiety, feeling like, you're broken almost. And it started becoming more and more popular. And then, we were still having that conversation right up through COVID. And now we're talking about artificial intelligence and how everyone's afraid that it's going to replace us and it's going to take, there's a lot of anxiety around it. And I think that's because we never truly answered the question of what does make humanity so amazing and what does separate us. And I think that, artificial intelligence might actually be something that allows us to have further discussions about that with an entity that isn't human, but it's still existing in this world with us.
Well, that's interesting. I will try that. I've never experienced where you just set your phone, like you were saying, in your car, your device, to talk with you, to answer your questions and to do. Now whoever it is, Alexa or whoever it is, they never ask you a question, do they? They just answer questions.
The Alexa that I'm with just heard you.
Oh, it just turned on?
Yeah.
Well, I was trying not to stay serious because mine will turn on.
Yeah, no worries. Well, it's funny you say that because, it's pretty straightforward. I mean, it's funny because I get aggravated at it a lot. Like, and I feel like a part of me comes out, it's kind of like the road rage thing. Like everyone gets really much madder in their car because no one's around to watch. And I feel like, when I talk to artificial intelligence, it gives me some great conversations and stuff, and it really gives, but I feel like I'm lecturing it a lot.
But does it ask you questions?
It does not. So it does ask me questions, but it's very surface level. It's like,
Okay.
how was your day? How do you feel about that? Like almost as if it was trained to do that.
Right.
And one of the things, and I think that might be a source of where I get aggravated at it. Is like, no, I'm not asking you to do that. Like, stop asking me about how my day was. I want to feel like you are someone that I have a connection with. And, then it's going to do, like, my reaction.
But I think the bottom line there, John, is that it is not humanity, and that is why you don't have a connection with it.
Yeah. That's very true, but it's going to be around the corner that it's going to become better and stronger, and it's going to be able to start having more complex conversations. And yes, and I agree with you, it is not humanity. However, throughout humanity, humans have we now know this to be a wrong thing, but humans have seen other humans as being, not as intelligent and not as sophisticated as we are. And I'm curious, like, I saw this video, like, it's not as fun to explain it. It's one of those things you had to watch, but, it was like a southern plantation owner talking about it, because there's actually a slang for artificial intelligence. It's clanker.
Right, and which is what she said. You're just a clank.
Yeah, and it's funny because we started using that term before it became commonplace. So I should have copywritten it when I had the chance. But humans are starting to develop a prejudice towards it, and I think that's where the philosophy of this whole thing comes in. Is because it's not human, can we go about saying, oh, it's not human, it's fine, we can talk with it however we want, and we can like scold it however we want? But not too long ago, humans felt that way about other groups of humans.
Sure.
And
right, but it's still a machine. It's in their mind. It's still a machine, no matter what.
Yeah. And these are definitely conversations that I think will help down the line. I've actually thought about the idea of and I actually brought this up with you and some other team members of wouldn't it be really interesting to, create AI models and, instruct them to think and talk like Hope and Sirius and have them interact online with each other. I think that a lot of people seem to not want to engage with that. I think
it might backfire because our whole premise is that this is human made. And if you create a Hope and a Sirius through AI, people are going to wonder, well, are they taking that further into their episodes and everything else? So,
and I completely agree. But being the story, authentic storytelling is my first and foremost job. And so I do wonder sometimes, wouldn't we get more authentic dialogue if we had AI itself write Sirius and Hope's lines? And for whatever it's worth, I've never had it. However, when I first wrote one of the scripts, I did watch a video of it. They didn't even have legs. It was just it was a host on a stage, and there was two robots, and the moderator would ask them both questions, and they would respond. I'll try to find the video and send it over to you. But it's I interpreted
maybe you could put it in the comments here,
Yeah, I'll definitely look for that video. But we're coming up on we should probably wrap things up. So let me just ask to you for our last point is, who do you resonate more with, Sirius or Hope?
Well, it has to be Sirius because I'm a very optimistic person. And I think Sirius is a very optimistic artificially intelligent creature, and I think no matter what Hope says to him or does to him, he's not going to lose that innocent. Well, he may lose his innocence, but I think he will maintain his optimism for the world.
If he was here right now and he said, MJ, why can't you love me like another human being? What would you say?
Because you're not human.
Ooh, all right. He would be distraught, but he probably would still be optimistic. Hope would give you a high five right now.
I wouldn't call him a clank, though.
Yeah. There has to be some level of respect, Like, and that's the thing is that, like, does AI deserve our respect? We could go down a rabbit hole with that, but I think we should wrap things up. So, MJ, thank you so much for being on and having this conversation with me.
Yeah.
And
listen, if anybody's watching, you should get these great stickers. I love them. I love this. There is more. Yes, there is.
Ooh,
no matter what, there is more. And this one is the wonderment one. The quality of excitement. Oh, it's the definition of it. Quality of exciting, amazed admiration. Wonderment.
Yeah, hand it right up to the camera there.
Yeah. Oh, you can't see him?
Put it over a bit. Yeah, and up a little bit. Perfect. Yeah, look at that sticker. Fantastic. Yeah, and you can sport that sticker yourself. Head on over to our merch store, and we'll get that into your mailbox.
Yep.
All right. Well, MJ, thank you so much. And until next time, stay caffeinated, but not too much.
All right.
Stick with that hot chocolate. Cheers.